control and video management in the cloud? Perfect.
You're good to go.
So, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. Today's webinar topic is integrating access control and video management in the cloud. So hosted by myself, Robert Vale from Genea, and Matt Marino, our pal from Cisco Meraki. Looking forward to this. It's going to be a really great way to show how the two products integrate as we've been growing the business. More and more companies are asking us to integrate with other service providers to have an all-in-one solution to be able to sync up these instances in one portal. So that's what we really achieved. So myself, Robert Vale, once again, I am Vice President of Sales here at Genea. I've been with the company for going on 9 years. I oversee all sales and marketing efforts within the organization. Matt, why don't you introduce yourself, give a little bit of background on yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rob. My name is Matt Marino. I am what they call a product sales specialist here at Cisco Meraki. The IoT portfolio in Meraki consists of our smart cameras, which we're really going to get into today and show how they integrate directly with Genea. So cool. As well as our line of IoT sensors. Sensors are things that we have to protect data closets, like water leak detection and temperature, humidity, those types of sensors as well. But we're going to focus on the MV cameras today, specifically around the Genea integration.
Awesome, awesome, very cool. Thanks, Matt. So today's agenda, briefly, we're going to start with going over the Genea access control system. So we're going to walk you through, for those of you who aren't familiar with our solution, really what makes it different. We'll walk through how the integration works with Meraki, show you a live instance of an access control badge swipe with the Meraki camera instance, so you can see how it is from that perspective. Then we'll switch over, and Matt will take over. Matt will walk through the Meraki smart cameras, the entire system, the ecosystem of how that works. One of the big things we're also going to do at the very end today is we're going to do a poll. So those are familiar with the polls. It's a little bit of a quiz. It's an 8-question quiz, and it enters you into a raffle to win a Meraki camera. So let's switch over real quick, and I'm going to let Matt just talk about the camera and what it is that we are giving away today.
Sure. But we're not giving it away. Remember, Rob, we're going to make them earn it. You have to.
You do have to earn it.
With all sincerity, we're really excited to kind of give this away to anybody who wants to use it for within their organization. This is our MV12WE camera. It is an all-encompassing camera. We'll include the license for it as well. You basically just plug it onto the network and it just works. You'll understand that once I get into it, but for the most part, it's an all-encompassing video surveillance platform right there into one product, which is the MV12WE.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, so at the very end, after we go through the demo, to our point, we're going to pull up the poll. It's a series of 8 questions. Everybody does need to answer all 8 questions. You don't have to get them right, but if you do get them right, that's a bonus point for you. And then afterwards, you'll be entered into our raffle to win the camera, and the winner will be announced within a couple of days. And then we'll work through logistics of getting the camera sent out to you. So once again, thank you to Matt. Thank you to our partners at Meraki. Excited to be able to offer this to the audience here today. So let's get back into the deck here and let's start walking through. So I'll go ahead and get started here. So for those of you not familiar with Genea, we are a cloud-based technology company based here in Southern California. We've got customers in over 1,800 sites across 20 different countries. Get an idea of who we work with, some of the logos we work with on the access control side. So commercial real estate companies like Nuveen, Lincoln Property Company, enterprise companies like AppsFlyer, Outreach, Wise, Xero, Sunrun. Big thing that really Genea takes a lot of pride in is we have a customer first approach when it comes to service. So and it's a very white glove approach. And so what that's led to is having a 98% customer retention rate and a 75 net promoter score. So not only do our customers generally love us and stay with us for years and years, but they're also willing to promote us to their colleagues. And that's been a big part of our growth, is having our customers recommend us to other colleagues. In addition to that, a lot of the great product enhancements that we get is because of customer feedback. So that's part of the reason that we have this integration today with Meraki, is the customers are asking for it. We listened. The beauty of having an open API structure is that we can reach out to the folks at Meraki and say, hey, we need to get our stuff working together. And by having that collaborative effort, we're able to bring a better experience to the customer base. So, but that's, feel free, for those of you customers who are on here, anytime you have questions, feel free to reach out to our team. We'll get you to the appropriate members of our team as well as the Meraki team. to help with any product enhancements that you need. That's how we do our jobs. It makes everything much better when we can interact together. Genea has three main solutions. So we have an overtime HVAC product, which is geared towards the commercial real estate industry. That gives tenants in an office building the ability to request a HVAC service via smartphone app, turns it on, turns it off, and at the end of the month, we do all of the billing as well, and that's integrated with the accounting software and the work order systems. Our secondary product that we launched about 6 years ago is for sub-meter reading and billing. So in instances where a building has sub-meters for supplemental AC units, server rooms, and water and things like that, instead of using a clipboard and a spreadsheet to collect meter reads and bill back, we actually created a software application. So that allows the building engineers to walk around with our app, scan the QR code, pulls all the data in, and then we handle all the billing from there. So no longer doing things with a spreadsheet. And then our access control product. So in 2019, we acquired a cloud-based access control company called Secure out of Atlanta. It's now been rebranded as Genea Access Control. That's what we'll spend the most of the time focused on today. So it's a full enterprise access control system. It's 100% built into the cloud. We sell this not only to enterprises all across the globe, but also to the commercial real estate industry too. So when we go into access control, let's just talk about some of the, why did we build this product? So if you look at legacy access control systems out in the marketplace, what that means is most of those systems are on-prem. They're either down in a basement or they're in some closet locked away. And some of the challenges with anything on-prem is if you want to make any changes to that, somebody has to be on site to make those physical changes. If you want to run reports, you got to learn how to run reports on that. If you buy a business, right, you inherit whatever they have on site. Somebody has to learn a new solution. You don't know when it was installed, and you have to try and figure out how to use it. In addition to that, there's oftentimes not a great process for removing credentials upon termination. We see a lot of instances where people are really good about getting new employees, getting their badge, get them into the system. But if somebody leaves the organization, what is your process for going to remove that person from the system so they can't get back into the building? Not everybody has a great process for this. And I'll talk a little bit about how we solve that issue as well. In addition to that, most of the on-prem systems aren't really built to integrate with other software solutions. So as we move to other software solutions to an environment where everything is cloud-based, including video management systems, being able to connect those solutions together via API is really, really important. Any on-premise system it's very, very laborious and costly to connect something with cloud. And as your IT managers and security managers are bringing in new software applications, they really need a better way to connect those simply from one portal, and they want to be done via API. And we'll talk about that too. In addition to that, you'll see the hardware and software may not be consistent across the enterprise. If you bought, like I said, if you bought a business or opened an office, you may have just been purchased something because you needed it at the time. Well, that means if you want to manage that physical security, you have to have different people to help you out all across the country or across the globe. Your software may not be compatible with your key cards. There's a lot of challenges that comes across when you have different hardware and software across the enterprise. And then the last part is mobile access. Everybody wants to start using their phone for everything. So mobile access in a legacy system it's just not built to support mobile. So these are all things that we've seen in the industry, and is part of the reason why we built our solution. In addition to that, there's the customers are demanding change. This is a study from HID Global, so the 2021 State of Physical Access Control report, and these are some of the drivers that the security and IT managers are saying is causing them to upgrade their legacy on-prem system. So number one, 40% of the respondents say it's the pandemic response, touchless. They want to have an opportunity to give their employees the option to use their phone to get into a facility. They want to make it easier to administer digital processes, meaning getting people in and out of the system. They want to have that the database sync up with their instance of Okta and Active Directory, Windows Azure AD, so that way you can credential somebody from the same portal which you manage them from an HR perspective or from just a general tech stack perspective. In addition to that, they want to be able to take advantages of applications available in new products, meaning I want to be able to link up all the different products so they can talk to each other. So they're really looking for something different. So that's where companies like Genea and Meraki come in, is we can offer this new response in this new environment where the IT managers want something different. They want a better experience. And that's really where we position ourselves. So So once again, Genea, we fit this mold on the access control side in that we're a 100% cloud-based access control system. It's built on AWS. By being cloud-based allows us to do a lot of things. So we can improve the user management. So the ability to add and remove users from the system is very, very simple. You can do it either manually across the entire enterprise, or we can automate and streamline that entire process through our integrations. We want to be able to sync and connect with video. Well, of course, we want to be able to sync up that instance with video and access. So you have one spot where you can look at everything that happens. Now, if you want further detail, you're going to go to your VMS, and there's a lot that you can do that Matt's going to show as we get to that point. They also want to be able to have visitor management integrated. So the more and more importance of getting visitors on site, having them pre-register, the ability to use a QR code to touchlessly go through a turnstile and elevator all the way through the suite is very, very important. And then the last part that is really a game changer, especially for Genea, is a direct service and support model. So Genea provides 24/7 support to all of the end users. So if anybody is using our system and they need help, I can't get in, my username and password doesn't work, a door is not working, they want to talk to somebody, and we give them a chance to talk directly to the software manufacturer to go and triage any issues. We have a self-help section as well, but we really want to make that communication back and forth so that way somebody knows something is being dealt with, because there's nothing more frustrating than not being able to get into your office or into an elevator or something like that. So we want to have that direct line of communication to triage those issues. And then the ability to remotely manage physical security. So obviously I'm in my house, Matt's in his house. You know, if I needed to unlock a door because somebody's coming to visit the office, maybe we have a delivery, can I do that from my phone? Can I do that being off-site? As we move into a hybrid work environment, which is probably not going to go away, you need the ability to manage things remotely. And it has to be very, very simple. So that's where we come in terms of managing physical access. We also need to be able to support all forms of credentials. So as much as you say, use your phone, the white key cards, they're never going to go away. There's a whole group that has them, not only for security purposes, or it could be your official badge as you walk around the facility. If you work in a hospital, your badge gets you indoors, but it's also your identification within the facility. So the badges are never going to go away. But so we support all forms of credentials. We support your phone. We support key cards. We support a clicker. Anything that you already have on site is fully supported through Genea. And of course, if you want to utilize your phone, we want to make it really, really simple to use your phone in terms of physical access. So we made it very simple to provision credentials. We have a partnership with HID where we actually have an integration directly with the Origo platform. So if I want to provision a mobile key, I can pull into my app and in a matter of seconds, select a mobile credential and assign that to somebody. I don't have to log into a separate portal. I don't have to manage a separate database. It's all part of our solution. The mobile keys are also part of our annual subscription fee. Your phone is very, very secure. I can utilize single sign-on. The credentialing is much more secure. The credential is physically locked to the phone. So as opposed to a key card, right? If you can hand that to somebody else, you can drop it, somebody can get in the office, whereas your phone, most people don't go anywhere without their phone. And if somebody took your phone, you panic immediately. So the credential is locked to your phone. We can also set up multi-factor authentication on your phone. So if you require that somebody has to Face ID and open the phone before they're allowed to go in the building, we can do things like that. And then the phone allows us to also do a lot of other advanced features where we can do capacity planning. You can require that every single employee has to go through a reservation process before they come on site. They may have to answer a series of COVID-related questionnaires before their credential is activated on the day. If you're an admin, you want the ability to remotely lock a door and unlock a door from your phone. You want to invite visitors from your phone. You want to add a user from your phone. Everything can be done from your phone. So it really kind of takes that next step in terms of managing physical access. So that's where we've gone with the phone and mobile. And of course, our integrations. Integrations are really is the key to really advancing the next phase of access. And that's, why we've been growing so dramatically is the ability to have all these out-of-the-box integrations. So from the provisioning side with Google Workspace, Azure AD, Okta, so that way when you hire somebody, that person is added from Workday into Okta. That person can be automatically added to the access control system, be assigned an access group, and provisioned a mobile key. More importantly, somebody is fired, HR takes them out of the system. They're automatically removed from all the other technology in addition to the access control system. So that way, somebody leaves the organization, they can no longer physically get on site. That person is deactivated. We provide single sign-on with SAML 2.0 and one login, and of course we have our integrations with the camera providers, which we'll show you as we get into the dashboard. So we'll go through the exact instance of Meraki and how Genea and Meraki sync those two instances together, and then we do notifications. So it's no longer just okay to just send an email. You also want notifications via Teams and Slack. So if there's a door held open event, we can send it to a Teams channel for your security team or through a Slack channel. So we want to have that open line of communication within the system as well. So with that just gives you a brief overview of our system. We'll step ahead later on. We'll go through an actual demo. In the meantime, I'm going to switch it over to Matt and let Matt talk about the Meraki camera system.
Sure. Actually, before I do, I mean, you and I have been doing these. Well, this is our first one together, or at least within a custom organization. I've done plenty with your team in the past, and there was, you kind of started about how you wanted to differentiate and also, kind of disrupt, if you will, the market for access control. And and what everybody's going to see here is some terrific new technology within, your cloud-based system. But one thing you just brushed over a little bit, but I think is a major game changer, was that direct support for your end users. That's almost unheard of in the world of physical security in general, let alone access control, right? I mean, yeah, the most frustrating thing in the world is when, you get that call from the CEO who's there at 6 o'clock in the morning trying to get in, and he can't get into his office. That's death, right? And the mere fact that a customer can call you without having to go to an intermediary, I mean, partners aside, partners are vital for a lot of different things, but for that one call at 6 a.m., having that direct support, yeah, that's a huge, huge piece, right?
It really is. And it's so funny because we've always done this as Genea. Even before we acquired the access control company, we've always had direct service and support. And so for me, it's second nature. It's kind of what we've always done. But to your point, in the physical security industry, this is something that is massively different, is to have that end line communication. And that's been a very, very big deal to the customer. So thanks, Matt, for bringing it up. And at this point, we're actually the only access control company that has 24/7 direct chat with the end user. So it's definitely
when
something
you need
different.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody
whenever you need it, even if you don't need
10
it.
o'clock in the morning, right? But when you need it at 3 o'clock in the morning, then you have it. That's terrific. I love that. I absolutely do. And you know what? I mean, obviously it's a little bit of a theme here because, Meraki started the video surveillance portion of the portfolio product with, Meraki being a cloud networking system, started with wireless APs and built, a full stack network, as well as offer 8 products. But the cameras themselves was exactly the same. It was designed to disrupt what we thought was a disruptable market for sure, but also an antiquated, type of systems that people have purchased over the years. And we'll just get right to it. So you can click on the next slide. So all of the Meraki products have always built on the philosophy of solving problems, not building features, right? Many of the problems in the old world of networking were that it was very technical. You had to have many, many certifications to be able to do it, very expensive to deploy, to maintain, to manage, et cetera. And video surveillance was no different, right? So when Meraki came out with a product called MV, and MV just stands for Meraki Video or Meraki Vision, and you're going to hear me say that a lot now, we wanted to do the exact same thing. So what is it within the video surveillance, and you can scroll to the right to the next one, is this traditional physical security architecture. That's what we wanted to solve first and foremost. So what you're seeing here is basically a consolidation from the last really 30 years of video surveillance purchasing, okay? We call it the box architecture, right? You have an analog camera and now an IP camera communicating to either a newer encoder or a server talking to a workstation, or maybe even, I kid you not, still some VCRs out there and DVRs for that matter, right? But if you look at that architecture, it fits from a VCR to DVR to NVR exactly the same. And the reason it had always done that is because that was the way you had to consume it, right? You had a lot of different manufacturers, maintaining these because you were built the feature. You're like, I really want that cool lens, or I want all those megapixels, or I want that really cool search engine that's in the, or I need to buy a Dell server and it has to match up. Right? just forget it. You know, we don't play that game. And here's the reason why. You can click through. It's just too hard to maintain those, right? So what we did with our architecture, and not to discredit anything that was technology advanced within the previous one, is that we took all of those boxes, or the technology of those boxes, and we stuffed it all the way at the edge, right? We put the awesome imaging sensor, right? And the lens, of course, inside of the camera. You need those, obviously. We also put all the storage in the camera. We put all the processing in the camera as well. And then we put some intelligence on there as well, different applications, et cetera, et cetera. And we put it all at the edge. And what that does, it does a lot of different things for a customer, right? First and foremost, if I'm not streaming anything into one of those boxes, it's easy on the bandwidth, right? We're Cisco, right? We're Meraki. We have to manage that network better for our customers first and foremost. And we can do that really easy when we're not streaming video, right? You think about how you migrated networks over the years, you're building them just to support a video surveillance system seems really, really wrong. So, and instead, let's build you a great network for your customer business needs first, and then you can lay a video surveillance system on it that doesn't really demand a lot of network power. Access anywhere, right? I had shown you all of those different boxes. Well, all of those little different boxes have different software on it. All those little boxes have little different firmware versions on it, right? Well, we've eliminated the software component completely, and we just use our dashboard. Our dashboards are magic, if you will, within Meraki. It's just basically a browser that communicates to all of our devices, inclusive of the MV cameras. So you can access it anywhere. You just need an internet connection and a browser. Really, really easy. And then lastly, smart processing. Okay, this is the user component of it. If I can leave everything at the edge, right, and we can use the basic components of analytics to only send you on-demand video, right? What's the point of streaming an empty stairwell when there's nobody there? But when a human being comes on board, right, or runs in front of that lens at 3 o'clock in the morning, wondering why he can't get in his access control system, right? That's when you actually need it. So if we put AI at the edge, we can actually learn those types of behaviors, and then we can also add new applications, right? You can do that because of the processing that we can support on there too. So this type of architecture is how we disrupted that challenge that we thought was the older way of doing video. And this is how we do it with the closed, secure video surveillance platform. You can go through.
Yeah.
But to do that, you have to have and own really the whole manufacturing process. Okay, and I know this really is the case. So we own from the semiconductor all the way to dashboard to manufacturing. We do that for a lot of different reasons, and security is first and foremost, and that's the very last thing I'm going to talk to before I actually show the dashboard, right? But the reason is that we did this is because we wanted to be able to control every little component that goes into these cameras. We have to, right? We're basically building little servers or cell phones at the edge on these networks, and to be able to do it, to act like a server, you have to be able to add applications, and you have to choose the right processor to do that. So we chose the Qualcomm Snapdragon 4 processor on all of our cameras. It's the exact same one that you're going to see in Samsung cell phones. Why did we choose that one? Well, you'll learn over time within Meraki that you get more value out of the camera over time, okay? That seems crazy in the world of video surveillance because it used to be the day you bought the camera is the best it will ever be. Not with Meraki products. The day you buy a camera from Meraki is the worst it will ever be. Crazy enough to say that. We always add new value as the lifespan of the camera, as long as it's a licensed product. It's really cool. The processor allows us to do that, right? We can add audio analytics later, which we have done. We can add new situational awareness applications later with our acquisition of ModCam from a year ago, excuse me. So you're going to see that and understand it later. Also, we chose solid state storage, right? That was key. On our first iteration or first generation of these cameras, we went the route of soldering in old SD cards, well, new SD cards for that matter. And they're fine, they work great, and they're out there doing what they do. But the problem with those, the lifespan of SD cards, the way they are done, are only 2 to 3 years. That's not good for Meraki. It's not good for Meraki customers. So we went with solid state storage in all of our cameras to give it a 10-year lifespan, right? Over expanding that and keeping that TCO down. All right. Everything else, like within the processing of the cameras, is all core to the Meraki piece, right? It has to be known and secure together. So if we go to the last slide I had for a demo, let's talk about security. Okay. Hardware and security built in. I just explained exactly why we do that. We're Cisco, we're Meraki. We built the network, we built the standards for security on the networks, and we have to apply those to absolutely every product and software piece that we sell with licensing. Automatic firmware upgrades. That may seem like something like, oh, I get those all the time, right? With any of my vendors today. You're correct, but not in the same way that we do it, right? If you think about how Apple or Google has managed their operating systems, they can send you new firmware for applications overnight, right? Our cameras do the exact same thing. You can set them on schedules to deploy or whatever. But the reason we have these things as automatic firmware upgrades as a highlight for that is because you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? We're not going to bring down your system doing these types of upgrades. I had a customer once before I was on with Meraki that had over like 1,000 cameras or whatever on a competing system. And they had 8 months of planning just to do an operating system upgrade because they had 16 different manufacturers of cameras, a server manufacturer, and then of course their VMS software to be able to do that. And to make sure they didn't break anything in between and bring down their entire system, they had a plan 8 months in advance. That just seems crazy. But cloud eliminates that concept almost entirely, where you can just plan for your firmware upgrade, do it overnight, impacting no QoS, and be done and be secure. Okay, encryption, right? Now, I had mentioned that all of our cameras have all storage at the edge, right? That's important to know that the encryption component within the camera is there. That's what we call at-rest encryption. Not only is it encrypted there, but when we send it to the cloud, whether you're going to authenticate to be able to view video later, or you're sending the metadata to the cloud to do any of those analytics, that is also separate, but also an encryption component with us. And then lastly, roles-based access and audit logs. I know it seems silly for us to bring this type of stuff up, but we don't have what we call default passwords. We don't have super admin users. None of that exists within the Meraki portfolio. You as an end user are the only ones that can see your own video, and you can manage it that way. And of course, you can integrate it with all those other things like Active Directory and whatever, just to be able to manage it itself. But security is core to the Meraki product because this is a security product as well, physical as well as cyber.
I can't imagine what you're referencing when you talk about super users. But...
don't know.
For those of you not doing, do a Google search for video super users.
Yeah. Have fun.
Awesome. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Matt. That's really, really helpful information. So I think I think what we'll do now is we'll shift over and we're going to walk the audience through both products. So we'll start with access control. Take you through our access control portal for those who can see that, show them a couple of new things, talk about what's different, and then we'll show the integration from a Genea side on how the integration works with the Meraki camera system. I'll pass over to Matt afterwards, and then Matt will actually walk you through their dashboard as well. And then, of course, after we go through the dashboards, any questions that come up, and then for those of you, interested in participating in our poll, our quiz, have a chance to go through the 8-question quiz, provide your answers, and then be entered into to the drawing as well. So give me 1 second. Let me switch over here, and let me walk through our portal. So for those of you who are not familiar with our access control portal, the first thing you see when you log in, and I'm logged in as an administrator, I'm actually using the Genea instance at our office because we actually use the Meraki cameras at our office. So I'm logged into our office. As an admin, I can actually switch, so I can go between our Michigan office or Rhine headquarters, so I can quickly toggle through the offices. But the first thing I see is just a light level analytics. I get an idea of how many people are in the office today. As you can tell, the office is still not fully open yet. We've been closed officially since last March, so like a lot of organizations. So looking to open very, very soon. I can see our busiest hours of the day, how many active users do we have, and I can see a monthly attendance by day. So on last Thursday, we had 17 people, probably the largest attendance in a while, mostly because I had my sales team fly into town. It was nice to see everybody after a year and a half, and we had some nice dinner and some fun. Today, we've got 5 people in the office. So as I scroll down, I can see what are the busiest doors and who are the arrivers, and I can get an hourly heat map of when's the busiest time of day. So just a high-level analytics. One of the big things we wanted to do with access control was make it really easy to add and remove users or to make any changes to a user. So if I had a brand new employee, I just hit new. All I need is their name, their email address, so I can facilitate a mobile credential. I assign which office they want and their access group. So if I want to assign somebody as a 24/7 doors, I can do that. If we're also integrated with the building where you lease space, which in this case we are, I can also assign a user to building and parking and an access group for the elevators. And if this was somebody who, say, travels between our Irvine office and our Michigan office, right here, I can also add them to the Michigan office and add them as an employee user. So that quickly, I can add a new employee to the system, add them to multiple locations and the building, as well as our remote office. So very, very simple to do. Now, this is the manual process. I'll show you the automated process here shortly. Now, the other thing I want to do is when I take any particular user, and I'm going to take Alex here, for instance, I can go into any user. I can see anything I want to know about this person. So right now, I can see all of Alex's information. I can see which office he has access to. Right now, you'll see he has suspended access. Part of our advanced feature set is we have a tool called Safe Workplace. So what that means is every day that you come into the office, when you leave, your credential is actually deactivated. In order to reactivate your credential before you come on site tomorrow, you have to go through a series of COVID-related questions. So have you experienced any symptoms in the last few days? Are you waiting for a test? Have you come in close contact with anybody? So questions like that. So some organizations require this before they'll allow their employees to come on site. We are one of them. So, so Alex, if you want to come in tomorrow, you have to go through that series of questions, answer the appropriate way, and then of course his credential will be activated, and he'll be able to come on site. I can also go through as an admin. I can activate him. I can suspend him from anywhere as well. I can see what he has access to in the building, and I can see all of his cards and his users. If we had pins, I'd be able to see the pins. If for some reason Alex sent me a message that he lost his phone and I needed to give him a new card, really simple to do. If he had an existing key card, I can just pick the format, enter the card number, give an activation date. If it's a mobile key, I do it right from here. I can just go ahead and assign him a mobile key, and I can have that activate today. And he goes ahead, downloads the app, and he's got a new mobile credential that can start working immediately. So really, really simple to add credentials. The other thing we wanted to do is make sure the admins have the ability to do things. Our admins can go through, they can unlock doors remotely, they can add users, they can look at general information that's going on there. We have custom attributes that we can set up. So if we want to design, okay, what's searchable, what do we need to assign to every single user, we can actually add a lot of custom attributes as well. We have a full alerting system, so I can alert anybody if a controller goes offline, a battery fails, a power supply fails. We have rules in terms of who gets those notifications. We can also send that out via Slack and Teams as well in the integrations portal. The control center is essentially the remote control from the building. So from here in the portal or from my phone as an admin, I can see all of our doors. I can remotely lock or unlock a door. I can do a quick grant where it unlocks that door for 5 seconds, and so somebody can come in for a delivery. I also have emergency features where I can do an emergency lockdown, emergency hold open. I can clear the anti-pass back. So all this is done from my level as an administrator. When we look at some of the advanced features, when we look at integrations, we're really big on integrations. So we already talked about our integrations with our directory services. We use Windows Azure here at our office. So Tony, our director of IT, to set up the integration to add users. It's really simple. He provided the API token. He can set up some general rules. And then for each of our offices, when we hire somebody based upon their role in Azure, determines what they get access to within the access control system. So every new person who's in entry management, their group is entry management admin. They get admin access to our building and parking. Their role is admin, and they also are provisioned a mobile key. We can move around with, I'm not going to do the integration rules and move around because then people get mad at me. But I can move around the rules. I can give priorities to certain rules. So there's a whole waterfall effect as well. And of course, I can do this for Michigan too. Once again, if somebody leaves the organization and Christine takes them out of our HR system, they'll be automatically removed from the access control system. So, so the systems work in conjunction, but it's a really big deal. So. And let's go to the big part of this is also the activity. So the activity and reporting is really a very key part to our system. So when I come in, I can see all the activity. We keep a full history forever of everything that happens within the system unless a customer asks us to delete something. We wanted to make it really easy to look for things. So, and Matt can attest to this, having worked for a different access control company years ago, reporting can be an adventure. So we wanted to make it very, very simple. So I can come in, I can filter by any event, by a date, by an access group, by a door. So if I want to see anybody who's been denied access. Just like that, I can see everybody who's been denied access, and it's going to show the most recent one. So Brianna from our marketing team was denied access. That was probably because she didn't do the safe workplace thing before she came into the site. I can clear this filter. Also, everything is exportable into Excel. So we want to make it really easy to get everything out of the system. So I can pick a date, start date, and end date. I can move it all to Excel quickly. We have a built-in arrival report. So if I want to see an arrival report by a certain group, I can do this as well. And once again, everything's the ability to move that into Excel. We have an audit log, so I can see everything that has happened within the system. So one of the challenges with a lot of the legacy on-prem systems is oftentimes there's a generic username and password that is shared by people. And so you never really know who's actually making changes to the system. As opposed to this, we can see if there's somebody very specific like Tony adding or deleting cards, or the system. And what the system means is the system is our automated system with Azure that is automatically adding and removing people or updating people. So, and because we're connected to the building, I can see all the instances of our employees coming on site, where they're going through in terms of parking or the main lobby or any elevators. And just going back to the access control log, so the last part of it is the integration with the camera providers. So, so I can come through, I can see our instances of camera. And if I wanted to see, say, our CFO, Michael Pasula, he came in, badged in, he came through the kitchen door, and I can hit the link here to the kitchen. And what it's going to do is open up our Meraki dashboard. This is for our office here in Irvine. And it's going to pull up that particular camera instance. And so now what we'll see in a couple of seconds here, you'll see the instance pop up in the orange here on the slider. But you'll see a nice view into our office. You see our foosball table, our bowling pins, and now you see our CFO, Michael Pasula, walking into the office. So that is really, really easy to set up. So you want to see when somebody comes on site, you can see exactly when they walk into your facility. If we have these on the outside, we could actually see somebody before they come into the office, but ours are internal, so we can have that internal shot as well. Setting up the integration with the Meraki system is really, really simple. So once we come to our cameras, I hit Meraki, I just get our API token. So really simple, just take your API token. I can set up particular settings if I want to have a snapshot for frames 5 frames before or 5 frames after, and I can have a camera offset. So the camera will start 5 seconds before the event happens and it'll record that instance. We can also do enable GIFs or embed video. So what does that mean is if there's a door held open event, for instance, we can send that GIF through Slack to the security team. So they can pull it up all in one spot. They don't have to go into a separate dashboard. And they can go there to do further investigation, but at a very high level, it'll show that a particular event. I can set up for multiple offices. I can, it's really easy to add, delete, rename the cameras. So we wanted to make it very, very simple to interact with the cameras. So as you can see here, very high level in terms of what we can do from our instance, but it gives you that direct view into what's happening in the Meraki camera system. And then the last part, just because we talked about it earlier, is our direct service and support. Anytime you're within our system, if you have an issue with Meraki, you have an issue with anything that we're doing, you can do our live chat. You can say, I'm just browsing, I'm a customer and I need help, and it'll start a live chat with a member of our team. And it'll go through the particular products. We also have a whole self-help section as well in a knowledge base where I can go through and I can find everything. So I can say I need access control help, and if there's something going on, and there's CC about to talk to me. So CC from our customer success team is live chatting me. I'll let her know separately that we're having a demo. So that's our access control system. That's how the integration works directly with the Meraki. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I'll pass it to you, Matt, to walk you through the nuances, so you can walk the audience through everything you guys do.
Sure. They already got a little bit of a taste of it, because that's what's so cool about Dashboard is it looks the same regardless of organization. Right? Look at that. And it's basically the exact same thing. The only thing different is that you have a really cool, Genea logo instead of the Meraki logo, but it's okay. All right. And just to make sure we have plenty of time, I'm going to quickly go over the concept of Dashboard when it comes to how we built it, right? I showed you the traditional video surveillance system versus the Meraki system and, edge-based video, edge managed video. And one of the other, kind of problems that we wanted to solve was the idea of how you can find cameras, find an event, filter an event, and share an event in a speedy method. Those older type systems are very hard. Maybe you'll have a really good staff that understands their system really, really well, and they could easily download a camera and then be able to give that file if they had to do it in a certain amount of time to a police officer. And after that, what happens to that file, you have no idea. Hopefully the police officer has some sort of viewing software they can actually view it on or whatever. It's just not the case with us. So what we wanted to do was basically be able to, like I said, find a camera, find the incident on the actual camera, and filter that incident as best we can so we don't have too much noise. And then as well as share the incident all within 60 seconds. That was the goal of the entire dashboard. So I'm going to show you that method. And then if you ever want to do a really deep dive in the dashboard after that, and there's some really cool embedded technology as well as analytics here that come with the licensing, I will happily do that. Just let me know. But here's how we do it to be able to find, share, filter, share video in less than 60 seconds. So I have 28 cameras. Within 28 cameras, it's pretty easy to find a camera. I could easily just use my scroll wheel and kind of find by name just because I know them. But if you have 2,800, right, or if you have 28,000, like some big retailers do, that's not so easy. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can do it on maps. So if you wanted to, lay out over the United States and see this is San Francisco, different, camera or organizations all across the globe, you can absolutely do that. Or you can just start clicking through them and you can start really drilling down, right? As you see, this is our office in San Francisco, and you can hover over the cameras to get them up, or you can start laying out floor plans as well, if you're comfortable looking at it that way too. So finding a camera is pretty simple that way. You can also, if you're a linear person, we're a networking company. If you wanted to see in a topology like a network, you can absolutely do it this way too. You can hover over any one of these devices and see exactly what switch they're connected to because, hey, they have to be connected to a switch. And we wanted to give you the mapping component within the topology to do that. All of them on the nomenclature are shown here with the icons of the camera, or you can see guest Wi-Fi's, all of that type of stuff. And of course, you can filter them out as well. Me, I like lists. Lists are easy for me to manage, so however you see fit, please do so. Before I get into one other thing, another really cool way that we can actually search for video is tags. Tags is a Meraki way of doing one-click search, right? So if I ever wanted to see all of the cameras on my first floor, I can easily click by saying first floor, and all my first floor cameras come up. It matters none, okay? But if I wanted to see all the first floor that are indoor, I can click that. And then it said, or the indoor ones, excuse me, you could see either one, indoor and first floor. Everything is very Google-like, right? Searching, right? Or easy language searching. Additionally, I can start typing things in here. Of course, I could filter out names by typing in bike, but if it's not in the nomenclature and it is a tag, I can do IDF, whatever it is. So tags are an easy way of doing one-click or searchable components within cameras. Again, 28 cameras, pretty easy to find. 28,000 tags help. And you assign those tags via profiles within the camera. Okay, so that's how we find the actual cameras themselves. But let's say you wanted to make sure before you went in there, you had a nice health monitoring. 28 cameras are online. I have none that are alerting. Alerting is key because that can mean two things. One, maybe you have made a little preventative maintenance on one of your cameras. You wanted to make sure that there's something wrong with the hard drive, or it's been tampered with or whatever. You can set those alerts up, right? Or if they're offline being bad, obviously. Dormant, that's key. Sometimes customers have to make renovations to offices, so they want to take a camera down and not give their security personnel worrisome components. So you can put a camera in dormant. But we want to be able to find cameras, search for the event, filter the event, and share the event. So this is our second floor balcony outside of our San Francisco office. Okay, the reason I chose this one is because just like Rob, and there's just not a lot of people inside of our office, so I have to be able to do it outside. And there happens to be a lot of activity in this particular case. This is San Francisco, and people like to walk around outside of the city, just like I am in New York City. Okay, so just the layout of the system you see, like obviously the image of what the camera is recording. There are some tabs up here. This is the share area. Underneath the image, you can see the green line that represents there's an actual archive or recording on the actual device. And underneath that green line, you can see those blocks that Rob had shown earlier. Those are just motion blocks, right? Showing you that there's actual events taking place. Okay, there's a Q&A if you want to, maybe there's somebody has a question, but we'll get to that. any of the Q&A. So real quick, let's say the event is you want to find dog walkers, right, that are crossed in front of your lens because they're not picking them after their dogs. You want to be able to determine that. And you don't know how long it is and what they're actually doing for, but you want to find an independent dog walker that's not taking care of their dogs. That's the big incident, like a laptop stolen or a damaged car. It matters none. So what we have to do that is this motion search. Motion search is nothing new in video surveillance. It's been around many, many years. It's basically giving you the identification of pixel changes within the scene, but we do it differently because we are a metadata analytic company as well. So here's what I did. I set the box of where a lot of dogs happen to be. We want to be able to find that walker. Now, what I want to do now is set the parameters of my search. Again, very Google-like. I could just say, well, last Friday, starting at noon, okay, to now. And it defaults to where we are. And this is Pacific time, by the way. I'm on the East Coast. And a couple of things are happening. It says loading some events. You kind of see them there. And there's 468 actual events that took place inside of that box. Now, that could be a lot of different things, right? As you can see, there's a lot of blank spaces on these thumbnails. Well, that's because it could be swaying of that shadow. It could be shadows. It could be rain. It could be anything. 468 thumbnails is not worth my time to be able to do that 60 seconds. But because we have analytics on board and because we can actually search it, all I have to do really quickly is detect people only. Let's get the human engagement in there. I click it, right? A couple blank ones, that's okay. It went down to 106. So I just cut it down by 75% of my overall searching to be able to find that dog, right? Or the dog walker. And was there a question? I'm sorry, Rob? No? Okay. I can quickly search through these thumbnails and now I can start to see a little bit more activity and there's a dog walker right there. Okay. So what I just pulled up is the thumbnail or what we call the motion recap of the 30-second, the actual events, excuse me, right there, taking place. And what we did is we stitched the motion in a format that's easy for me to decide if this is important for me to investigate. Yeah, that's a person walking their dog, but that seems pretty innocent. So I can quickly search right through these, right? I'm not downloading any video. I'm just looking for the culprit or walking that dog. And there it is. That's the one I was looking for, right? That's the one that seems vicious. So now I can just play, it's a 56-second video. I just press play. It will take me right to it. All right, I'll get rid of the search box so we can see. And I could fast forward this just for our sake, right?
And make sure I know we're looking at a dog in a stroller. Oh, okay, or not.
Okay. So anyway, so we found our event, right? If you think about it, we found our camera, we found the incident, and we filtered the incidents. And now what we want to do is that share, right? How do we do that? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. I hit the share button. I could easily just take a screenshot. It will take that here, and I could put that in some sort of team space or whatever it is that I wanted to do. Right? It's just a standard image, nothing special, right? But here's the really beauty of not having software to manage. All I have to do is hit the share link internally, and those with roles, rights, or responsibilities will have access to the exact video, right? So you saw me search. This is on July 18th, so that's about 4 days ago at 6:30 at night. I have that link copied. I open up a new browser, right? It doesn't matter. Anybody can do this as long as they have the access to the, based on my organization's roles. Click the link, and it will take me right there. I'll let it play just because we can. That's the ease of use that the cloud offers, right? That's 4 days of archiving it didn't have to search. That's 4 days of quick, easy finding that I did. And all I had to do was copy the URL, and I have an internet connection in the browser to be able to see it. And now I can determine that, you know what, those are just 2 little dogs. They're fine. They're not doing anything wrong, right? And now I don't have to worry about it. But if I needed to, I could certainly export the file, right? I go to the share button and I can export it here. And it will obviously give me parameters to set that clip on. It matters none, right? I can just hit the export file. I'm not gonna do that, it takes a little bit of time. But once I do, 2 things happen. One, it will download an MP4 file, watermarked, etc., so we know. And it leaves an audit. It leaves an audit of me actually doing that, so you know exactly who did it, when, where, and how. Additionally, that export file will be tagged inside of our cloud for you, and we'll hold it for a whole year. So major incident, minor incident, if you export it, we're gonna hold it, and you can give that the access to that export file to anybody with a unique user and password as you see fit, and we'll have an audit of that as well. No security component has gone unseen. It's all built inside of the dashboard itself. And that's how we do share video here at Meraki. And I'll stop it there for you, Rob.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Matt. That's really very, very informative. And it's really, amazing what you guys are doing with the system. So, with that, I want to thank all the audience. What we have now is I'm going to pop up a poll. So there should be some topics that everybody learned about during the course of the webinar. So I'll pop up the poll. We'll leave it open here for the next 4 minutes or so. We do have one question, so we'll address the question while the poll's up. So let me launch the poll, and everybody should see that poll pop up right now. And we'll go ahead and keep that poll up for everybody right during this part of this. And we do have a question from.
Well, hold on. You and I will hum Jeopardy while we're doing this. Just kidding.
Yes. We'll hold it for a 4-minute hum. So Jake, I believe Rican. So the GUI of Genea looks nice, and they have Meraki firewall switches, APs, and cameras. So the integration will be great. They're a school corp with 5 locations currently on a very old Cantex system. How are the proximity readers installed? Cat6, PoE, or controllers like we have now with low voltage wiring? Are the maglocks that we currently have still compatible or need to be switched out? So really, Jake, to answer your question, this is access control related question. It would be a rip and replace. So we'd be swapping out the Cantex system. We'd be replacing the controllers. In order to give you mobile, we'd probably be upgrading your readers to mobile enabled readers. So it'd be HID Signal are the readers that we currently provide. We can utilize existing wiring because you do have an access control system already in place. We can use a lot of the existing wiring, but we would need to replace you with the Mercury controllers. That's our system is built upon Mercury, so it'll all be Mercury-based controllers, which is great because now you have non-proprietary hardware, and then of course giving you the new readers that are mobile enabled, so you can normally lock. Anybody can come in, they can tap or do twist and go and unlock a door. So next step, and just for anybody, anytime we look at replacing a system, what we do is we have a site inspection. So we'll work with an integrator partner in your part of the country. That integrator partner will come on out, they'll scope it, they'll scope the overall install, they'll tell us what hardware is necessary for the site, and then of course all these subscriptions go through our integrator partner. But we were happy to partner with whoever it is, and if you have a Cantex system, potentially that you're using GCI as your system integrator, so we can talk about that offline if whoever your integrator is and do that. So I hope that answers your question, Jake. Happy to answer anything in particular or get you a member of our sales team. So let's see, we're starting to get a few answers coming in. All right, it's like seeing the poll, it's fun. Let's see. How many people do we still have on here? Still got a few people. All right, everybody, please, we'll give it another 3 minutes to answer these questions. And then what we'll do is, like I said, we'll send out all the exact answers afterwards. For those of you who go through, take the time to answer the questions here in the quiz, you'll be entered into our to raffle to win the camera that Matt spoke about earlier as well. So we'll give this a little bit.
One thing I want to emphasize, like I sit in New York City. Where do you sit?
I am in Carlsbad, California.
Okay. So you have an Irvine, California office. We showed some cameras there. You have a Detroit office. I'm in New York. You're in Carlsbad. I don't know where Kim is. She's a moderator of all of this, right? My cameras are in
Kim's in Huntington Beach.
In Huntington Beach. Okay. And our cameras are in San Francisco, and plus all of the guests that were on here today. The power of the cloud is very evident in this entire discussion about everything we did, right? How easy it was just to share content like PowerPoint, right? Let alone live action demos that show transactions with video and access control from a Detroit and Irvine office through a WebEx in real time, right? The concept of that 10 years ago just didn't exist. And now here we are doing it. And how we are doing it now. I think it's just a powerful discussion about the power of the cloud, right? And how much the compute that's there is available to us.
It really is. I mean, everything is moving this way, and if it's not, you're kind of like, what's taking so long? And that's why we're so excited about this opportunity with access control, because the access control industry is primed for an adoption of cloud-based solutions because it's been on-prem systems forever, and as more and more IT managers are taking charge of all software in addition to access, they want to be able to have everything synced together. So the beauty of everything, the cloud is making, especially for IT people, it's making their lives much easier. So.
Agreed. I mean, the idea of buying pizza boxes anymore and filling up racks just to have on-prem data, it's just nuts. It
doesn't make sense anymore to do things like that. So let's see. And we got people still answering questions, now viewing questions, 5 of 13. So we got 33% have voted. So we'll leave this up here for a little bit longer as we go through. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to go into the Q&A, go to the chat and ask questions for myself or for Matt. Anything you'd like to learn, we're more than happy to
always dive deep.
Questions as well.
Yeah, we just touched the surface of the tech, right? So. Yes.
I mean, we barely did much with this. It's fun to be able to show the high level cool features, but as you kind of get to a demo environment, you get somebody who knows what they're really looking for to start getting deep, and then you start getting questions like, all right, how much do I know as a salesperson? Do I need to bring somebody else in to help me out? Because otherwise I get in trouble. I get accused of just saying, yeah, we can do that. So I don't.
Well, Rob, the old saying is sales is an acronym, don't you know?
Acronym for what? Let me hear
anything,
this.
Let engineering suffer.
Yes. I've been accused of that regularly, actually. It's a common theme in our office.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's all right. It's a lot of fun. You can't grow unless you start. Salespeople are bringing in wacky new things that we need to build, and you learn a lot that way.
I mean, the customers, the customers have the expectations of CSI for video surveillance, right? Of what they can see a license plate, from 6 miles away and expect to be able to identify the driver of that car, right? But what it does, it obviously makes us giggle, but it does drive a little bit of the technology to get there, because eventually customers are going to want us to do that. And so we have to figure out a path, right? So it does drive innovation in some capacity, the idea of them, but sometimes they're just out of the whack.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. So let's see how we doing here in the questions. Let it go for a long 7 minutes. We'll go all the way till 8 minutes. We'll give a minute per question. Why not? And then after that, we'll go ahead and end the polling, and we'll end our session here. Once again, thank you, Matt. Really appreciate you jumping on board and being part of this and promoting it. It's exciting to have really, partners who we can kind of, do things like this with.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure. Your team is fun to work with. We have some great wins. That's and we're solving real problems, and that's the whole thing, right? I agree. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Wonderful.
And for everybody in the audience, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us today and for participating. Please, share this with video with anybody you think might be appropriate. And of course, myself and Matt, we're available to answer any questions offline that is necessary. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the polling. So we've ended the polling there. I can share the results with everybody if you'd like to see the results. So we can see the results of the poll. Got it. And of course, we'll send out all the exact answers as part of our follow-up. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll stop there. Oh, hold on. Jared from our team. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate that. Qualcomm, San Diego.
Nice. That's right.
And I'll go ahead and stop our recording now.